is the WrestleBread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 71 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So, this episode I tried to get out a little bit on time. It is about a day or two late. I normally try to release my episodes on Tuesdays, but I was checking out, I didn't get a chance to check out Impact this week or AEW Dark. I am recording this while Dynamite and NXT is on, so just a preview of what is going on between those two shows I won't be able to go over with this episode is NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa going against Eva Lise. The main event is going to be the Best Friends versus Santana Ortiz in a parking light fight. Chris Jericho, Jake Hager facing Private Party. We're also going to have MJF appearing as well. And then on NXT side, for the North American Championship match, Damian Priest versus Timothy Thatcher. There is a NXT Tag Team Championship rematch between Breezango and Imperium. We got Shotzi Blackheart versus Io Shirai, and this is a non-title fight. And then, of course, if you haven't seen on Twitter, Drake Maverick and Killian Dane are supposed to be in a tag team, but Drake Maverick hasn't been able to get in contact with Killian Dane this whole time. So they will be teaming up to go against Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish of the Undisputed Era. So going back into what I saw last week, but first off, today I'm recording this on Wednesday, like I had said, and PlayStation dropped their showcase today. Now, I am a bit biased. I am a PlayStation girl. I have played Xbox games, but I just like the way how PlayStation is more about gamers. So don't come at me, all right? I am biased to Sony, but I am a gamer from way back. I had a Nintendo, I had a Super Nintendo, I had a Genesis, I had a PS1, and I had cousins that had all the other systems. So I played on Nintendo 64, I played on PS2, I played on PS3. I currently have a PS4 right now. But I was very excited to see the PlayStation 5 showcase. Now, I would love to get a PlayStation 5, but I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer, but I'm one of those gamers that don't complete my games because another game comes out and then I play it. Like, I got Star Wars Jedi Order when it first came out and I still haven't, beat it. I barely played, I'm sure I'm not through 10% of the game because then another game had came out. Final Fantasy VII had a remake had came out and I went and played that. Ironically, I am a Final Fantasy girl, so I definitely finished that game. I plan to go after the Platinum Trophy for that game and 100% it. But I decided I beat it first off. I'm going to replay it on hard mode, and then I'm going to go back I'm going back to play the original Final Fantasy VII, and then go back and play Final Fantasy VII Remake, just so I can, remember everything correctly. But watching the PS5 showcase event, I was definitely expecting for them to give us the price and everything. I definitely was not disappointed with it at all. Coming out straight out the gate, Final Fantasy 16, which I'm very excited about. I love Final Fantasy games. I have started out with Final Fantasy 7. Now, this is way back on, was it PS1? It had to have been PS1 because I was trying to play it. And this was back when it was a disc form, and Final Fantasy 7 was such a big game that it came out, I think it was 3 discs. And I had borrowed it from one of my cousins, and unfortunately, I only had the first disc, so I kept playing the first disc over and over and over again. And it took me, I don't know how many years afterwards to finally be able to play the whole game and beat it. I played 8. I didn't play 9. I did play 10. 10, of course, made me cry. I played 11, which is online. I played 12. I played 13, but I didn't play the other two, like the 13-2 and the Lightning Returns one. I played 14, which is online. and I had played 15, but I didn't beat 15. I'm not the biggest fan of 15. My son is a big fan of 15, but I haven't beaten 15. So I'm very excited to see Final Fantasy 16 come out. There was no release date that had came out, but the game looks beautiful. Then we get a little bit of Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, I got the platinum for the first Spider-Man. Now, like I said, it's very rare that I complete games, especially with trying to go after trophies and everything. But with the Spider-Man PS4, I beat it. I got the platinum for it, but I didn't play the DLC games just yet. And I'm very much looking forward to Spider-Man Miles Morales. And from what I heard, it's coming out on PS5, but they're also going to release it on PS4 as well. So, you know, I'm good there. And then we got to see Harry Potter. So I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan. I watched the movies, of course. I didn't get a chance to read the books just yet, but the Harry Potter game definitely looked like it's an open world type RPG game, which I'm down with. I like RPG games. And then we get the Demon's Souls remake. I tend to be a rage type of player. Like, I don't like playing games that will definitely put me in a rage, so I don't play like Call of Duty and stuff like that. Fall Guys, I play Fall Guys, and that puts me like on the edge. I'll play a few games, you know, someone will like hold me, or it'll be some BS where I fall, something like that, and I lose, and then I just like turn off the game for a little bit. I know of Demon's Souls. I've seen people play Dark Souls. I've seen people play Bloodborne. So I know what Demon's Souls is. The hubs want me to play Demon's Souls, and I told him, I said, I don't know about that. Because that game is straight rage worthy. But I am glad to see how beautiful that game looks with the PS5. And then we get a few things. Of course, Fortnite comes out. I think the game called Deathloop, I think it was called, which was pretty good. I'm trying to see everything that came out from the showcase. Deathloop looked pretty good. I think that was the name of it. It was basically two assassins going against each other. That was pretty good. What else? Oh, they showed a little bit more of Resident Evil 8, which I had liked, and then they kind of showed a little bit of it looked like it's some type of witch or some type of voodoo type of stuff, which I don't do. I don't play games that has to do like any type of voodoo type of stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's like superstitious of me or whatever. But I know that's what Outlast 2 was, and I wasn't down for that. And so when I saw it with Resident Evil 8, I was like, I don't think so. I'll watch somebody play it and just, get my entertainment off of that way. But I don't think so. Oh, actually, that game is called Deathloop. I forgot what I had called it, but that assassin game is called Deathloop. And then we saw a little bit of Call of Duty, which looked pretty good. They came out and said that there's actually going to be an open alpha, it looks like, for PlayStation users that's coming out this Friday and it's free this weekend. And I might actually play it, even though I suck at first-person shooters. I mean, I don't completely suck at first-person shooters because I had played Battlefront 2 a lot, so I don't completely suck. But when it comes to these Call of Duties, Battlefield type of stuff, I don't know about that. Then we get Oddworld, which I'm a fan of Oddworld. I used to play Oddworld back when it was on the older PlayStations. Five Nights at Freddy's, I'm not really a big, jump scare horror type of person. I don't know how I was able to make it through Resident Evil 7, because that scared the bejesus out of me. I had to play it. Like, no lie, I'm not going to lie to you. I played it in the daytime. My brightness was all the way up, and I was playing with headphones off of one ear. That's how it was. So, I don't think I'm going to be playing Five Nights at Freddy, I tell you that. Devil May Cry Special Edition. I know people who love Devil May Cry. Don't hate me. I haven't played them. Sorry. It just wasn't the first couple of ones I wasn't really feeling, so I just never went through with the franchise. They also talked about the PlayStation Plus collection for the PS5, which one thing I don't like that Sony does is that they make you pay whenever, like, you never should buy a game day one unless you like definitely cannot wait to play it, because a lot of the games, like 6 months later, it's cheaper. It's like $20 cheaper in 3 months, and then in 6 months it'll go down to half price, and then eventually you'll see games for $20. I feel bad because Star Wars Jedi Order is now a hell of a lot cheaper than what I paid. Well, no, I'm sorry. I didn't buy it. I got it for my birthday. So yeah, it's a hell of a lot cheaper now. And so I don't really like to buy games day one. I bought Spider-Man, the deluxe edition, day one. And now that bad boy's a lot cheaper. So then we get the price for the PS5 for the regular and the digital edition. I love the way the digital edition looks because it's very symmetrical and it's very pleasing to my eye. And a lot of my games, like I would say 95% of my games are all digital. So I was planning to do digital. The Hubs is going to do the regular one, just in case he needs to play on the disc. Or plus you got the Blu-ray edition. It's Blu-ray with it as well. But I might go for the digital one because I love the way it looks. And I have PlayStation Plus anyway, so a lot of my games is all digital. All I have to do is pretty much download it once. And if I know people are saying, well, you know, what happens to if there's something happened to your Wi-Fi and this, that, and the third. And it's like, well, my games is already downloaded, especially the games that have a PlayStation Plus. So as long as I'm paying a year for PlayStation Plus, I'm pretty much good. And I always find PlayStation Plus whenever the price of it goes to like $45 or less around Black Friday time. So I have PlayStation Plus paid up for about a year. I think somehow I found it cheap and I extended it for more than a year anyway. I already had 6 months into a year and then I extended it for another year. So I'm all good. And then after we get the price, so the pricing, we get to see $4.99 and $3.99, which is pretty much good. A lot of people are mentioning how they'll be losing money for the digital one at $3.99, but in order for you to have that digital one at $3.99, you have to have PlayStation Plus. So it's really going to pay for itself on Sony's side because you have to pay like $60 for a year to get the PlayStation Plus. And then on top of that, you're buying the digital games. So Sony is in charge. Well, not Sony, but, you know, the developers and Sony are in charge of the pricing of the games. It's very likely if you have a digital PlayStation, if you get a game at day one, you're buying that game straight up, you know? And it's very rare that people will wait around to get the game when it goes down to $20. Whereas though, if you were to get the regular one, if you aren't, you know, in a rush to get a game at day one, you can definitely go to GameStop and get the game about $30 cheaper 7 days later, you know, after the game release. Because, you know, people always get the game and then beat it and then return it back to GameStop anyway. Well, not really return it, you know, sell it back for like 5 cents or something like that. And then after that, we get a little sneak peek, and it turned out to be God of War. And this is, it looks like the official title. I don't know if it's God of War 5 or if it's God of War 2, since the last game before this was God of War, even though it's technically God of War 4. But this is called God of War Ragnarok, and it's supposed to release in 2021. So very exciting for all the God of War people. My confession right now is I haven't beaten any of the God of War games. So I need the gaming community to slow down right now because I have a lot of games that I need to beat. Like legit. I'm right now in the middle of trying to trophy hunt. And because I only have like 3 or 4 platinums. And I feel as though I need to get my, you know, I feel like I need to step up. especially for as long as I've been playing video games, that I definitely need to get more trophies. So I'm trying to get more trophies. I still haven't beaten, like I said, Star Wars, Jedi Order. I haven't beaten the Crash Bandicoot trilogy that I got. I still haven't played Detroit. I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn. I haven't played God of War. I have the Final Fantasies. I brought Final Fantasy 8, 12. I still gotta beat 15. Even though I beat them, I brought them on the PS4. I still have to play Kingdom Hearts. That's sad. I still have to play Kingdom Hearts. Still have to play Far Cry 5. I haven't played Arkham Knight. Like, I'm so behind on trying to beat a lot of these games. Like, I didn't even finish the Walking Dead series. Like, I need the gaming community to just slow down real quick. I really need to, like, sit down, lock myself in a room. I mean, I've been on vacation. I didn't even really finish any games, really. I mean, I started, like, trophy hunting again, and I started getting into Fall Guys, and I have a PC, so I've been playing Knights of the Old Republic, which I have to beat. Like, oh, gosh, don't take my gamer card away from me, but I need to finish some of these games. Just so I can say, like, yeah, I'm a modern gamer. If this was all the games back in Nintendo, Super Nintendo, maybe a little bit of Genesis, yeah, I probably had played it and more likely beat it, but now it's just like game after game after game after game. And it wasn't like, and games nowadays are a lot more, a lot more difficult to come by. I mean, back in the day, we had Blockbuster. And with Blockbuster, you pretty much got a game, especially on school, when you're in school, you got a game on Friday, and you had until Sunday to beat that bad boy. Even though you had the game for a week, you knew that you couldn't play the game really that much after school. So you got the game on Friday, and I had a Blockbuster down the street from me, so I would go down to the Blockbuster, get me a game that I wanted. Like, I remember when Batman, I think it was Batman Begins. I have to really remember. Like, I remember getting a Batman game, and I got it on a Friday, and I went and I beat it in a weekend just so I can finish school. Now I really now I have to look up to see when did Batman Begins the game come out, because I feel like I sound very, like, I'm very young. And no, there was a Batman. No, it wasn't Batman Begins. It was a Batman game that came out. I don't know what game it was, but it was a Batman game that came out back in the day, and I beat it in a weekend. But overall, the PlayStation showcase was definitely a good showing. Obviously, when it came out that it came out with the date that the PS5 is coming out, which is November 12th, and you can pre-order it today. If you didn't know, you could pre-order same day. A lot of people found out because Twitter went off, and there were a lot of people showing off their receipts, showing that they pre-ordered the game. They were showing their screenshots from Best Buy and Walmart of them pre-ordering the game. And there was a line at my local GameStop for people trying to pre-order the game. I'm not planning to pre-order, even though I would love to pre-order. I told myself, nope, I'm not going to pre-order it just yet. I'm going to beat some of these games on my PS4. And plus, because, the PS5, all the specs that's coming, you have to do it on a 4K TV in order to really, enjoy the graphics and the specs of the PS5. Because PS5's, everything's in 4K. Especially with how beautiful that Spider-Man Miles Morales game will look. You definitely need a 4K TV if you're getting a PS5. So I figured I'll wait. I'm not waiting until PS5 goes on sale. That would be crazy of me. But I'm going to wait a little bit, get all that I can get out of my PS4. Because, I don't know, it's very hard once you upgrade to the next console. It's very hard to kind of go backwards and try to, play games that you had on the old console. Plus, you have to switch out HDMI cords and all this stuff. And I don't feel like doing all that. So I'm just going to try to finish a lot of the games I have on my PS4. And hopefully within maybe 6 months, I can make PS5 my birthday present, maybe. I don't know. We'll definitely see once, 6 months or so from now. So going into wrestling, for Smackdown, we had the Firefly Funhouse comes. We were treated to a new character who name was Pasquale the Parrot. Bray Wyatt tried to introduce him. He wasn't coming out of the box that he was in. And Bray Wyatt said, "Oh snap, I forgot to poke holes in it, so the parrot died." You see the Vince puppet comes in and threatens to fire Bray Wyatt. It says that he has someone who is going to keep an eye out at the Firefly Funhouse, who is a special advisor. And out comes Wobbly Wars, which of course is a shot at Paul Heyman. He definitely had the Paul Heyman haircut. And it's mainly because Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, is in a feud with Mr. Roman Reigns. And the way to cut at Roman Reigns to go after Paul Heyman. And speaking of Bray Wyatt, we had Alexa Bliss in a fatal 4-way against Tamina, Nikki Cross, and Lacey Evans for the number 1 contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were doing a lot of, double team moves. Alexa Bliss went to the outside to go to attack Tamina and Lacey Evans, and Michael Cole mentions how Alexa Bliss has been dealing with the Fiend lately. And I didn't even catch it that I know that whenever someone mentions the Fiend, she kind of goes into a trance, but I saw her go into a trance and she kind of walks away, and the way she walked away and she had this far away look in her eyes, it reminded me of Resident Evil 7. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Final Fantasy, but it reminds me of Resident Evil 7, the way that she walks away, in a trance. But I didn't catch until I rewatched it that it was because she heard Michael Cole mention the Fiend commentary. And so Nikki Cross goes for a dive off of the apron, and Alexa Bliss helps Nikki Cross up, and then Alexa Bliss goes and do the Sister Abigail. And it was nice. It was nicely done. Nikki sold it very nicely. Alexa Bliss with the locks going in her hair. And we are one step closer to Alexa Bliss becoming the quote-unquote Harley Quinn to the Fiend. And I love how this is all playing out. It is, I don't know if Alexa Bliss said this outright or if she said it to someone and then that person told the media, but it is being told that Alexa Bliss is having a lot of fun with this character development, which I understand because she's been pretty much the same character since she came up. Actually, even before she came up on the main roster, she was pretty much this character back in NXT. Little Miss Bliss type character. Even though she was a heel plenty of times and she wasn't a face as much, she's pretty much the same type of character since then. So her having this development of being, entranced and infatuated with someone like the Fiend, it's very interesting to see play out. Nikki Cross goes to win the Fatal 4-Way to win a title shot. Now, the annoying thing with me with SmackDown and even with Raw is these commercial breaks, the timing with these commercial breaks. Because after Alexa Bliss hits the Sister Abigail, she stares off and then immediately go to commercial. When we come back from commercial, Alexa Bliss is gone. And it's just you could have held on a little bit and until she walks away and starts going up the ramp so that we could see her walking away. It's the little things when it comes with WWE and the timing of the commercials, We also had a promo earlier that day between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Roman Reigns sitting there saying that he's going to whoop his ass like they did when they were kids. Jey Uso coming back saying, we're not little kids anymore, we grown men. And, this is a very interesting dynamic to see once it happens at Clash of Champions of Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. It comes out that when Big E got hurt, it was actually Roman Reigns, who got Paul Heyman to get Jey Uso to replace Big E in the match, which I thought was a bit weird when it happened. I didn't understand how we went from Big E to Jey Uso when Big E got injured. But now it makes sense. It was actually Roman Reigns who did it. And now it'll be cousin versus cousin. I'm just hoping that this isn't a big ploy to get back at Paul Heyman, that this heel character of Roman Reigns is definitely like true heel type of character. They definitely need to change his music. I'm happy that they somewhat changed his look. He's not wearing the bulletproof vest anymore. But he definitely needs to change the music. So we also had AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. That resulted in a disqualification, and I still don't understand why this isn't a pay-per-view type of match. We already had the match twice now for free, which this match, like I said, could have definitely went to Payback. I think or either SummerSlam. I know they were a week apart from each other. I think we had that matchup before SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken. But this type of matchup could have definitely went on a pay-per-view as well. But the main event was Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Baron Corbin and Sheamus. I love this, whatever this is, of Roman Reigns coming out midway through a match. Because just like at Payback, we had the match starting without Roman Reigns coming out. And then Roman Reigns comes out just like a straight up dick. Roman Reigns comes out, gets to ringside, gets himself tagged in, and then just wins the match. And I love it. I love it. And it's very smart. Why do he need to be out there for the whole match? You don't need to. Just let everyone, jump your cousin and then just come out at last minute. And going into Raw, Raw was a little bit better. It was going up against Monday Night Football, which I definitely was tuning in because I definitely wanted to see the New York Giants and Jason Garrett to see how that all plays out. Wasn't really surprised that the Pittsburgh Steelers won. I really wasn't. The Giants really isn't that good of a football team. Sorry to all my Giants fans. You do have a bit of a good quarterback, but, you got to get your defense working. Sorry. If you don't know, I am a Cowboys fan, and I do live in Philadelphia. But like I always say, I'm not that type of Cowboys fan that just straight up troll Philly all the time. I know that there's something wrong with my team. We're not going to the Super Bowl this year. And yeah, I'm still a fan, but I'm realist. I don't think we're going to go to the Super Bowl this year straight, especially off of what happened in week 1. So, plus NFC East is trash, and it's been trash for a little while. I was happy for the city when they won their championship. We're the first division where all 4 teams have had Super Bowl titles. But NFC right now, it's a bit trash. The person who's in the number 1 seed, even though we're in week 1, but the person in number 1 seed is a team that doesn't have a name. But I did troll the Eagles fans this week before the Cowboys game because I said that the Eagles got beat by a team who don't even have a name, and their quarterback got sacked 8 times. So their O-line is made of glass, and we all know that their quarterback is made out of glass. And I'm sure all of Philly should be praying to any God that they believe in that their quarterback can make it through the whole season, because it's a miracle if he did. The Philly fans definitely miss Nick Foles. They were blaming Carson Wentz for the performance, even though you can't really blame Carson Wentz if you have a very bad O-line. It was people in Carson's face all day. It's not his fault. It's your O-line fault. It's actually your GM's fault, because you guys should have been looking for people to, strengthen that O-line instead of, doing what they normally do. But yeah, I am glad that football is back. It's very weird to have the pipe-in noise. There was a few games where I had to mute it, even though I love some commentary. I love Tony Romo, of course, on commentary. I like Troy Aikman, that team as well. The Monday Night Football team, it was very weird to hear because I'm used to Boog and Tess, and even when Jason Witten was there, they were my straight comedy team. It was very weird that I forgot who it was that was commentating for that Giant game. But I am happy that football is back. A little sad that it's not like with the fans where you can hear the fan sound and everything. It's when they were piping it in. It definitely made me feel like I was watching WWE all over again. But for some of these games, they're allowing fans in. I forgot what game I was watching that they had fans. It may have been... Darn, I forgot what game I was watching. They had like it was like 25% capacity. But Dallas is going to be doing the same thing too. They're going to have fans at 25% capacity this week. I think we go against the Falcons this week at home. But yeah, I was watching football all day on Sunday. And I normally watch NFL game day leading up to it. And I usually do fantasy football, or I play like DraftKings or FanDuel. But I haven't really been keeping up with football during, Corona. So I have no idea who's on what team, really. I mean, of course, I know Tom Brady is with Tampa Bay. I know that Cam Newton is with the Patriots, but I didn't know where everyone was. I didn't really look at the line. I didn't look at the Vegas numbers or anything like that. So I couldn't really do DraftKings and FanDuel. Even though week 1 is normally the perfect week to play because not everyone knows what's going on. And if you know the dynamics of like the team on paper, you can definitely do it. I think it was like maybe either 1 season or 2 seasons ago, I played week 1 and I won like $50 on DraftKings. So I feel like I should have played, but I didn't want to really waste the money if I really didn't do my homework. But I normally play, like I said, fantasy football, NFL. But I just didn't do it this year. I just decided to really concentrate on just enjoying the games this season. But I may once or twice play DraftKings or FanDuel just to, kind of test my luck and everything. But I'm very happy that football is back. We're slowly coming back to normal. In Philly, fans aren't allowed in the stadium, and the mayor announced that there's no tailgating either. But this is Philly. They bleed green. They're psychotic when it comes to the Eagles. I should know. And so I know there's going to be people tailgating outside that stadium. You may hear about a few people getting arrested because they decided to tailgate just so they can see their Eagles play. But going back to wrestling, so I won't go off on a tangent again. For Raw, we had Dolph Ziggler on commentary. He was okay. He was okay. He's not as enjoyable as Samoa Joe, of course, but he was okay. We had Drew McIntyre cutting a promo. Now, I'm a little confused of his injury because he said he had now from what I think it's a broken jaw, but now it's fractured or something like that. Or it's like not as injured as it was because he took some time off. And I think he maybe I don't know. But I do know if you have an injury to your jaw, I'm not a doctor, but this is just, thinking. Normally when there's an injury to the jaw, moving your jaw hurts. So I would imagine that it would hurt for him to talk. And he cut this promo without showing a lot of pain or anything like that. And he mentioned how they didn't want him to, they wanted him to take time off to heal, but he didn't want to take time off because then he would have to relinquish his title. And he was just talking. I forgot to time how long this promo was, but then he started talking about a story about he went to kick someone and he noticed that there was a split in his pants and he doesn't wear underwear. And so he decided, not to kick the person. He ended up kicking himself in his head. And then he went on to say how there's going to be, he challenged Randy Orton to an ambulance match. And then how Keith Lee, Adam Pearce, I think, comes out at this point. And he mentioned that Keith Lee is going to get the title shot. if Randy Orton isn't able to return, Keith Lee will be going against Drew McIntyre, I think it is. And if Keith Lee wins, he gets the title shot. If Randy Orton is able to show up. And there was this, Keith Lee comes out and they go to shake hands. And then, of course, it's the little moment where Drew McIntyre goes to walk away and Keith Lee holds on to his hand. And there was this very weird crowd sound. Like they tried to make the crowd go whoa or something like that, or go oh, or it wasn't like clear oh or whoa type of sound. It was very weird sound. Of course, it didn't go with what's going on with the WWE Thunderdome, but it was a very weird sound. My thing is, I like Keith Lee, I really do. I feel as though he should not be getting a title shot so soon. I feel as though there are other people who could definitely get a title shot that would be in front of Keith Lee. It's one thing I don't really like the WWE does, and AEW has done it as well, is they get a new person and they push them to the moon immediately and give this person a title shot. And it's just like something as simple as, oh, all you gotta do is either enter this battle royal or you have to face the champion and then you get a quick title shot. I mean, normally in these situations, shouldn't someone come out of the locker room and say, hey, I should be the one getting the title shot? I mean, I think someone like Seth Rollins, maybe, hell, Edge sitting at home. I think it would be people who would want to get that title shot, especially now that we can do this whole brand jumping type of thing. Hell, AJ Styles can come over and say he deserves a title shot. Braun Strowman can come over and say he deserves a title shot. It's just I don't know. I don't like Keith Lee getting this title shot so quickly because it results in one or two things. If Keith Lee loses, then what? What do we do with Keith Lee now? He already has hit he's already at the top of the mountain by getting this title shot. If you're at the top, the only way to go is down. And it's like, what happens to Keith Lee at that point? He would have to like go down and then have to work his way up when he could have been working his way up this whole time. If he does win the title, then it's going to be like, well, it's kind of, I don't know. It's just like kind of out of nowhere. And it's like, it's too soon for him to win the title. I mean, the man needs to get better music, for Christ's sake. I was hyped on Monday Night Raw because I didn't realize that it still plays the intro to his song. So I thought his song came back and I was real hyped until they played the new music and then I was sad all over again. We also get a match between Mickie James and Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, this match, I love Mickie James, but this match, I don't know. I don't get it. Of course, everyone is talking about the botch ending to this match. I don't know what happened. Mickie James obviously didn't tap. She was trying to roll over to, get herself out of was it an Asuka lock? It was either Asuka lock or it was a full Nelson type of move. I think it was like a full Nelson type of move. People suspected that maybe she was injured. She did take a shot with Asuka's spinning back elbow, and she wasn't really, she didn't completely have her balance after that. People are saying maybe she injured her shoulder or something like that. But you can definitely tell she kind of like rolls over to her side when Asuka had her in this hold. And then you hear the ref goes, ring the bell. And you see Mickie James go like, what the hell is going on? So, there's speculation. And I think it's like official word that it was actually the ref's fault. The ref thought that Mickie James had passed out and called for the bell prematurely. And of course, you see Mickie James' face because, she's at the end of her career. She definitely wanted to get one last title shot or a possible title reign, which I highly doubted she was going to get before she calls it quits. And you see like the disappointment in her face, and you see her roll out of the ring. Of course, the ref disappears to probably explain to Mickie James what was going on. And Zelina Vega comes out. Earlier in Raw, we see her talking to Andrade and Angel Garza. And the two starts arguing. She walks off and say, I can't take anymore. And they start fighting. So I don't know if this means that they're breaking up, or I don't know what's going on, but I'm very disappointed that WWE is breaking up these tag teams, because one of the things that WWE is definitely lacking on, it's tag teams. So I'm a little disappointed that WWE decided to break up this tag team. I don't know if they won the tag team championship. My mind is very cloudy. I don't remember if they won the tag team championship, or if they did, it wasn't a very long title reign. But they definitely need to be more dominant, because WWE, it doesn't have a lot of tag teams. They're definitely lacking in tag teams. And because of that, we're mainly getting a lot of the same feuds, unfortunately. New Day is broken up. And because of that, your hottest tag team, you definitely need to get something together to kind of fill in that void that New Day is leaving. But I feel bad for both women to have that botch ending, especially Mickie James, because she definitely deserved better. Of course, the finish would have been for Asuka to win anyway, but I think Mickie James rather have won with a little bit of dignity. So then after that, we get a promo from the Hurt Business, which was, it was Cedric Alexander versus Ricochet. And yeah, of course, we had the Hurt Business ringside, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, and Apollo Crews cutting a promo against each other. Cedric with a nice promo talking about why he joined the Hurt Business. He basically joined the Hurt Business because he kept getting beat up a lot. And he basically was like, if I can't beat him, I might as well join him type of situation. Which, I respect that. That if that's what you want to do, if you can't beat them and you rather join them, then hey, do you. So we get that matchup between Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. The lumbar check that Cedric Alexander does was chef's kiss, beautiful. And Ricochet sold it like gold. Definitely one of the best lumbar checks that Cedric Alexander has done that I've seen since he came to the main roster. And afterwards, we had the Hurt Business celebrating, and then the screens of the WWE Thunderdome turns to black, and you see Retribution comes up, and you see 5 people come on the screen. I immediately identified two of those people, Dominik Dijakovic and Mia Yim. I recognized immediately. I couldn't get the other 3 in mind, but the other woman looked pretty familiar. A lot of people were saying one of the guys looked like The Miz, but I highly doubt it was The Miz. Of course, they start talking about how they're Retribution and blah, blah, blah. We're going to, dominate WWE. I would like to, not complain and just let it all play out, but WWE is very inconsistent when it comes to Retribution, and that's what's messing them up. They're pretty much dead in the water. And I feel bad for the 5 people who are part of Retribution right now, because once they get unmasked, it's not going to be a good start for them at all. And these 5 people are pretty talented. So I feel bad once they unmask and, they go on from Retribution. I don't think it's going to help them. I think their talent is going to help them, propel and get pushes and stuff like that. But they'll be off a very rough start. The fact that WWE has Smackdown in the Thunderdome, and they also had these pay-per-view events in the Thunderdome, and Retribution has yet to attack. It seems like now they're exclusive to Raw, which makes no sense at all. If you're trying to do destruction to WWE, you definitely don't stick to one show and only attack between certain hours. It doesn't make sense when they attack. None of the locker room comes out to help. They did it on Smackdown, and I liked it when Smackdown did it. When the lights started to flicker, you see the locker room empty out because you want to protect your house. I mean, we see it all the time when WWE does this whole brand versus brand stuff. You see Raw invade SmackDown. You see SmackDown invades Raw. Why can't, whenever the lights flicker and we get these little punks dressed in all black looking like ninjas or reject robbers, that, the locker room comes out? Hell, even have Raw invade SmackDown to help them against Retribution. Or have Retribution come out and attack during the pay-per-views. It's just very inconsistent with the way that they have them. But we get the Hurt Business, who will not really volunteer their services, but, put themselves out there to help to go against Retribution. It just don't make any sense of why, and if you know that there is this Retribution team that is coming around and destroying your stuff, you definitely would have better security, especially when they went to attack the production truck. You definitely should have had better security. So, I don't know. I don't have a lot of hope for Retribution. I definitely hope that I'm wrong about it, but it's just the little details that make sense. I think they're definitely going to have a Nexus type of ending. It's not going to be good for them. Because we have 5 dominant people, and then after Dijakovic cut his promo, you had a bunch of other people appear. And I don't think I just don't think this is going to end well for them. But maybe I'm wrong, and I really hope I'm wrong. I hope that they are done very well, and that what they're doing will definitely spark some interest with fans, but what they're doing right now is definitely not working. They're very inconsistent when it comes to them. We also had Seth Rollins and Dominic in a cage match. This was a pretty good match. I expected Dominic to be pretty good since his dad is Rey Mysterio. But if we're going storyline wise, his dad is actually Eddie Guerrero. So I definitely expect Dominic to be superb in the ring. But of course, Seth Rollins, seeing as though he's been in WWE, he's been wrestling for a lot longer, I definitely expected Seth Rollins to win, which he did. We had Murphy, who comes out, even though he was supposed to be backstage. He comes out, hands Seth Rollins a kendo stick. Rey Mysterio does the same. We have the whole posse, the whole Mysterio posse out there. Father, mother, and sister out there with them, which I was a little confused about. But I see why that we have the whole squad out there. Seth Rollins wins the match, of course, without Murphy kind of messing up things. He mistakenly slammed Seth Rollins' head with the cage door. But Seth Rollins wins the match. He leaves Dominic in the ring. He goes and attacks Murphy again because he disobeyed orders and almost cost him the match. You see Murphy, by the steps, not really tending to his wounds, but he is looking like a sad puppy. And Seth Rollins walks off. And we see Rey Mysterio goes in to check on Dominic. His mom goes in to check on Dominic. And his daughter, I forgot to look up his daughter's name. I forgot her name, gosh. But I know she has a professional wrestling name. I think she has a professional wrestling name that she used. Before she goes into the cage, you see her touch Murphy's arm to kind of like check on him a little bit before she goes in there. And my immediate reaction was, whoa, 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 whoa. How old is Little Miss Rey Mysterio? And I looked up her age. I looked up Murphy's age. She is 19. And Murphy is 31. Now, I really shouldn't complain that much because I am like 100% sure if I look into the past of WWE, not a story comes to my mind right now, but I know if I look hard enough, we had a situation of a teenager and an older guy. I'm very sure we have had that. So I can't really complain too much about this situation, potentially, because WWE has done it, I'm very sure, before. So I'm very interested to see if, where this is going. Because, of course, they had her do that for a reason. She did that for a reason. So I don't know if she's feeling bad for Murphy. Maybe she's trying to get Murphy to join their side or something like that. Maybe I'm overreacting by thinking it can go romantically. But we know how WWE works, okay? We know how WWE works. I don't know what movie has come out recently that Vince McMahon or, someone had watched and decided to reenact it. So next we get the Raw Underground with the smoke coming out of the room that I always question why is there so much smoke coming out of the room whenever Shane McMahon and that big bouncer, I forgot the big bouncer's name, opens the door to let someone in. So we get Braun Strowman, who comes over from Smackdown. He decides to stop messing around with The Fiend and Roman Reigns, and he decides to go and beat up some people in Raw Underground. He does really good in Raw Underground. Dolph Ziggler hopped off of commentary. He was replaced by MVP for the third hour so that he can go down to Raw Underground. No strippers this time, unfortunately, for a lot of people. But I don't know. I like the concept of Raw Underground, but I don't like the concept of Raw Underground in Raw, because it's like, where is this going? Yes, we get, people who are, shining when it comes to Raw Underground, but where is this going? Because even though Dolph Ziggler is very good, and I feel as though Dolph Ziggler is good because he can wrestle in his tight jeans and his Vans, the fighting that they do on Raw Underground, why aren't they doing that in the ring? But there are some things in Raw Underground that makes a lot of sense. Braun Strowman pulling out a knockout punch makes a lot of sense on Raw Underground versus being in the ring, truthfully, because being in the ring, I guess, is more wrestling, whereas though Raw Underground is more like MMA. The annoying part is that Shane McMahon is on the mic, pretty much doing some type of play-by-play during the match in Raw Underground, but we have the 3 damn commentators who are still talking. And so you're hearing 4 people talk sometimes at the same time, whenever Raw Underground is going on. And so next week we are getting Braun Strowman versus, I forgot his name, but it's somebody who has been pretty dominant on Raw Underground, but I just don't know where this is all going. What is the point of this? Dabba-Kato, he's going against next week at Raw Underground. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what is the end game of this? Is there going to be a title for Raw Underground? It feels like whatever happens in Raw Underground kind of stays there. So if someone's very successful in Raw Underground, it doesn't translate on actual Raw. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what is this for? What is the purpose of this? Why should I care about this in the long run? I mean, is this pretty much a brawl for all type of situation where this is just like a great idea for people and, to kind of put some type of realistic fights on this show? I don't get it. I really don't. We have Retribution come out later on for the main event, which is Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee. The Hurt Business comes out to help out, quote unquote, Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. But no one else from the locker room come out to help. It was only the Hurt Business. So I guess everybody's all good with Retribution just attacking them. But I don't think Retribution was cutting ropes or anything like that anyway. But that was the end of Raw. Like I said, I didn't check out Impact this week, nor did I check out AEW Dark. I did hear that they had about, I think it's 11 matches on AEW Dark, and pretty much the gist of them is okay. Now, what I like about AEW Dark, it's on YouTube, first of all, but they definitely use it to kind of put over enhancement talent with their AEW staff. So they get different people from different promotions to be featured on AEW Dark. They pretty much get their name out there. Apparently there's this guy, oh gosh, I forgot his name. There was a guy who was going against Brian Cage, and he pulled a hot dog out of, I don't even know where he pulled this hot dog out of, but he pulled out this hot dog and he does pretty much the people's elbow with it, which he was actually featured on Being the Elite this week, and he was eating cake first. He was eating cake really fast for some reason. But yeah, he pulls out a hot dog and he starts eating it. His name is actually Megabyte Ronnie, which is an awesome name, I have to say. But yeah, he takes out a hot dog and he lands like this people's elbow with it, which was pretty weird. But I like that they're using talent to put other talent over, even though this is like not somewhat bit of a squash match. I mean, we see Griff Garrison on AEW Dark. Who else we've been seeing? We're seeing a lot more women on AEW Dark. Red Velvet, for example, I like her name. And they keep mentioning, I love, first of all, Taz on AEW Dark, because sometimes they start going in on the wrestlers. There was this one guy that was on AEW Dark, I think it was last week, and he looks just like Joey Janela. And you see Taz and Excalibur start talking about how much he looks like Joey Janela, and they start making fun of it, and of course you hear them laughing and stuff like that. So I'm fine with AEW Dark being set up like that. They just really need to get working on that women's division. I'm sorry. Going into some news and some rumors. Wade Barrett is now officially part of the NXT commentary. I did watch some of NXT last week, and he was phenomenal on commentary. Definitely miss him, especially the Bad News Barrett gimmick that he was doing. We also have the 5 people that we've seen on screen on Raw for Retribution. Those people has been confirmed. So it is Dominik Dijakovic, Mia Yim, like I thought. Mercedes Martinez was the third person who I thought looked familiar, but I just couldn't put her eyes to a name. Shane Thorne, who was actually a person that people thought was The Miz, and Dio Madden, who was on Raw commentary, but he was taken out by Brock Lesnar and he was never seen again. So those are the 5 people of Retribution. Definitely got my fingers crossed for Dijakovic and Mia Yim. Even Shane Thorne, definitely Mercedes Martinez, that whenever they get unmasked and they, move on from Retribution, that it would actually work out for them, because they're very talented and they're definitely on a rough start by being part of this Retribution. We have WWE Chief Tech Officer Rajan Mehta. He spoke with Sports Techie about the WWE Thunderdome and a lot of the tech that they're doing. So far, he said they had 85,000 requests for the Thunderdome, which I thought would be a little higher, seeing as though they get a lot more people who watch Raw and SmackDown. Maybe it's the maximum amount of requests they can get, because you definitely try to put in a request. If it's full, they'll definitely tell you to try again. Speaking of which, I forgot to try for WWE SmackDown for the Thunderdome, because the plan is the deal with the stadium, the arena that they're using for WWE Thunderdome. The contract is supposed to expire October 30th. So they actually have moved one of their pay-per-view events from November to October because of that. And they don't know exactly what they're going to do. The rumor is that they are planning to kind of do what AEW is doing and try to go to different arenas where they can have fans. Definitely will make a big difference if they're able to get fans into the arena, especially with the crowd sound. But of course, you gotta keep an eye out for Corona. If they're filling up with 25% capacity, even though you can't 100% tell when or where you got Corona from, if you're quarantined and you go out to see family and then you get it, like, obviously, you came from family. But if you're always out and about, it's going to be hard to tell where you got it from. And I don't know if WWE is cautious because they don't want someone to go to their event and then, people start catching COVID. And then it'll be tied to, Raw or SmackDown. And of course, the stock for WWE will go down. And people really wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't say really want to go. I'm sure there'll still be fans that will want to go to see Raw or SmackDown live, even with the risk. So let me not even get into that. But so far they said they had 85,000 requests for Thunderdome. Definitely, it is a lot of people ask for requests. Soon as it comes up for the next show, it's pretty hard to get in. From what I remember, you only get about, I think, maybe 15 minutes to be part of the Thunderdome, which I think is pretty fair. And then it switch you out for someone else. So I guess it's 85,000 spots that they had. Because I'm pretty sure if they had a waiting list or something like that, it would definitely be a lot more people. Also, Sasha Banks will be in Mandalorian Season 2, and I have to finish Season 1. There was a trailer that dropped a couple of days ago for the Mandalorian Season 2, and you see Sasha Banks appear. If you check out the trailer, she's about 50 seconds in. They start talking about some type of sorceress or something like that, very similar to maybe a Jedi. And you see her standing there with a hood, definitely looking like one of the Jedi robes. Of course, someone walks past by and she disappears. So it looked like she will definitely play a bigger role in The Mandalorian. I don't really know how many episodes she may be featured for. Might be one episode, it might be one or two. But definitely will be exciting if she is sort of like a Jedi. And I know she'll be very happy to be, playing some type of Jedi role or something like that. But best of luck to her. I'm definitely going to check that out. I like The Mandalorian anyway. So I'm definitely going to be checking out Season 2 when it comes out in October. That's it, guys. That is all for WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to check me out on Twitter at Jaydee Talks. That's JAYDEE Talks, and follow the podcast at WrestleBread. Shout out to Julian and Rob Bass from Wrestling Court Podcast on AlternativeMinds.com. Keita and Jay from Keita and Jay Show, who recently celebrated 5 years of podcasting. So if you haven't been checking them out, definitely check them out. Lots of laughs going along whenever you listen to their podcast. They're very enjoyable. So happy 5th anniversary to them again. I did do a voicemail shout out to them on their show to congratulate them for 5 years. I'm only about a year and a half into mine. I mean, this is episode 71, so to be 5 years in is definitely a blessing when it comes to podcasting. Chris from We Talk Next Podcast, which is featured on Keita and Jay Show. Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast. Devin and Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling. And my boys over at Powerbomb Jitsu. So next week, I will be reviewing what's going on NXT and AEW Dynamite. Let's see what continues on between the feud of Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. What is going to happen next as far as Alexa Bliss? When is she going to have more locks in her hair? Is she going to start wearing a mask? Who knows what's going to happen with this? We also had the breakup of the Iconics, so we'll see the fallout of that. Also, we had Miro, who was saying he was worried about Lana because of his comments on AEW Dynamite, telling WWE that they could take their brass ring and shove it. She was in a match on Raw, and she was covered pretty quickly, so who knows? We'll see what happens on next Raw if it continues on. And we also going to take a look at what happens the following Raw. I am starting a new job next week. I'm very happy. I gave my job a 3-day notice. I know that is very bad of me to do, but it's Like you've been hearing me, I've been putting out episodes late. I've been very slacking on my episodes, and it's just been a lot of stress and a lot of long hours that I was working and had a very long commute. By the time I get home, I'm very tired. There's times that I'm getting home at 8 o'clock, and not really feeling like watching Smackdown. I get home at 7 o'clock some nights. There were nights that I was working like 12 hours, and I was salary, so I wasn't making overtime at all. And it was a lot of pressure to work overtime, just because. I am starting a new job next week. It is going to be, a lot easier for me. I definitely feel the stress lifting off my shoulders. I'm sure a lot of you have worked at jobs that could be very stressful, and then you decide to take a job that is less stressful and definitely feel the weight lift off your shoulders. So I will be starting a job next week. Very easier schedule. Because of the pandemic, it is work from home, so I don't have to worry about commute. I definitely will have a lot more time in the morning, definitely a lot more time in the evenings. And so hopefully I'll be a little more consistent with these releasing the episodes. My ideal date to release episodes is Tuesdays, possibly Wednesdays, because I do like to talk about Raw on my episodes. So possibly Wednesdays to release these episodes instead of going into Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays. Only want to release on Fridays when we have a pay-per-view coming out that weekend. So next week, I will be having 2 episodes. One will be a recap coming out earlier next week of a recap of everything that's going on with wrestling. We'll have the Raw Go Home show on episode 72. And then episode 73 will be a prediction episode of Clash of Champions. It'll also be a follow-up of what happened on NXT and Dynamite. And not really Smackdown, unfortunately, because it'll be coming out before that. But if WWE adds matches after the episode is released, I will tweet out my predictions then. So this has been a little longer of an episode than I normally would do for just, talking about what happened in wrestling, but I got to talking about football and PlayStation, so I got a little bit carried away. So until next time, guys, peace.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Check us out at WrestleBread.com and subscribe to WrestleBread on YouTube for more breaking news and Jaydee's opinions.